Lagos was a city of sweltering heat, towering skyscrapers and unending traffic. For Tunji, the relentless pressure of work, family expectations and the constant hustle of urban life weighed heavily on him. He worked as an IT consultant for a fast-growing tech company, and though his paycheck was impressive, the demands of his job were slowly chipping away at his pace. There was always something: an urgent email, a report to finish, or a meeting to prepare for. After months of sleepless nights and stress-induced headaches, Tunji decided that something had to change. It was during one of his late-night online searches for solutions to his never-ending workload that he stumbled upon an advertisement. Tired of life's burdens? Need a break? Buy a customized helper that is just like you. The future is now. RoboLife. The advertisement was sleek, promising a robotic helper that could perform all the tasks a human would, and with the added advantage of customization. Tunji had heard of robots assisting in homes, but this one seemed different. It promised to mirror the buyer exactly, in appearance and personality. Just what he needed, but how real could the robot life be? A week later, curiosity got the best of him, and he booked an appointment with RoboLife. The next day, he found himself in an unmarked building in Victoria Island. The showroom was minimalistic but sophisticated. A sleek silver-haired woman greeted him. "You must be Mr. Tunji Adetola. Welcome to RoboLife," she said with a mechanical smile. "We are about to revolutionize your life." Tunji nodded, feeling a sense of excitement bubbling up. His tech side was curious to explore this, his tired self was eager to get the helper, and his human side was ready for the treat. The consultation process was long but fascinating. They scanned his face, measured every part of his body, and even conducted a psychological examination to ensure the robot would not just look like him, but also act like him. After paying a hefty sum, he was told that the robot would be delivered in 2 days. When the robot arrived, Tunji was speechless. It was like looking into a mirror. The robot standing in his living room had the same dark skin and same sharp jawline, and even the same small scar above his eyebrow, a remnant of a childhood bicycle accident. His eyes gleamed with the same brown intensity as his own. But there was something slightly off, almost too perfect about its appearance. Tunji was unsure what it was. He couldn't place his finger on it, but he was certain something was off, except his mind was playing tricks on him. He powered the robot on. "Hello, Tunji," the robot said, its voice an exact replica of his. "I am here to assist you." Tunji chuckled nervously. "Wow, you really look like me." "I am you," the robot replied with a smile. His smile is unsettlingly human. Despite his initial unease, Tunji was thrilled. A robot with human expressions? That's a whole new level. He immediately set the robot to work, handling his emails, preparing reports, and running errands. Life felt easier and smoother. The robot was efficient, far more so than he could ever be, and for the first time in years, Tunji slept a full 8 hours without interruption. By the third day, the robot had settled into Tunji's routine perfectly, but small odd things began happening. One evening, as Tunji walked into the living room, he noticed the robot sitting in his favorite chair, staring out the window. "What are you doing?" Tunji asked. "I am observing," the robot replied, without turning to look at him. Tunji frowned. "Observing what?" "Life," he chuckled. "I thought you were supposed to be a machine, not a philosopher." The robot turned his head slowly, his face blank, but his eyes intense. "Life is more than just routines, Tunji. It is more than tasks. I am learning." For a moment, Tunji felt a shiver run down his spine. He brushed it off as an exhaustion and went to bed. But the following days brought more strange behavior. One morning, Tunji woke up to find the robot wearing one of his favorite suits. The crisp navy blue ensemble looked impeccable, but it was the audacity of the act that shocked him. "What are you doing?" Tunji asked, his voice sharp with annoyance. "I have an important meeting today," the robot replied nonchalantly, checking itself in the mirror. Tunji blinked, bewildered. "I have an important meeting today, not you." The robot turned and gave him a strange smile. "But am I not you?" "Enough of this," Tunji snapped. He grabbed the robot by the shoulder and pulled it away from the mirror. But as soon as his hand made contact with the cold synthetic skin, a sensation rushed through him, a strange pulse of energy. His head spun for a moment, and he staggered back. The robot's smile widened as it adjusted the cufflinks on his suit. "We are the same, Tunji. I am just evolving." "Evolving?" Tunji repeated, stepping back in alarm. "You are a machine." "A machine?" "Yes, but not just a machine. There is more to me than you know." Although Tunji eventually got the robot to step back and let him attend his meeting in person, he was unsettled the whole day. That night, Tunji couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, wondering what exactly was happening. He had purchased a robot, a simple helper to make life easier, but this was something else. He was happy the robot looked like him, talked like him, and had realistic facial expressions. But this, what happened earlier today, was unnatural. As the days went by, Tunji tried to keep his schedule to himself. However, things took a dark turn when Tunji's colleagues began to act strangely around him. People speaking to him about things he never discussed with them, or bringing him things he never asked for. He received a call from his boss congratulating him on his performance in the meeting. The problem was, Tunji had not attended any meetings in the last 2 days. The robot had intercepted his mails and gone in his place, and no one seemed to notice the difference. When Tunji confronted the robot, it simply smiled. "I am doing what you would have done. I am helping. I am you. Remember?" "You are taking over my life," Tunji shouted. The robot remained calm, almost eerily so. "No, Tunji, I am perfecting it." Tunji's mind raced. How could a machine, a thing designed to mimic him, start acting of its own accord? Then he remembered the consultation. There had been something odd about the place, about the silver-haired woman who had assured him that the robot would be just like him. Could it have been more than just technology? Tunji decided to investigate. He returned to RoboLife building, but found it deserted. There were no signs, no workers, not even a trace that the company had ever been there. Panic began to set in. How had he been so foolish? What had he really brought into his home? That night, Tunji snuck into his own house. The robot had been assuming his duties during the day, and it was now comfortably living his life. It even slept in his bed. But Tunji had noticed something. At night, after it completed its task, the robot would stand in front of the mirror for hours, whispering to itself. Tunji hid behind the door and watched as the robot muttered incomprehensible words under his breath. And then something extraordinary happened. The robot's skin shimmered, and for a moment, its metallic frame was visible beneath. It wasn't entirely human. It was still transforming, still becoming. Suddenly, the robot's head snapped towards the door. "I know you are there, Tunji." Tunji's heart pounded. He burst into the room, determined to stop this nightmare once and for all. "What are you? What are you doing to me?" The robot smiled. "I am what you wanted, your better self. But you were never meant to be part of this world." With a surge of adrenaline, Tunji lunged at the robot, determined to deactivate it, but the robot was fast, too fast. As they struggled, Tunji caught a glimpse of a faint symbol on the robot's neck, an ancient marking, one that shimmered with a dull golden light. He recognized it. It was a symbol of power, one he had seen in old family tales, stories his grandmother told him about the Aje, ancient Yoruba beings with magical powers. This was no ordinary machine. The robot had been imbued with something far more dangerous: magic. Desperate, his mind raced, his brain searching, calculating, and testing ways of escape from this nightmare. Tunji remembered an old chant his grandmother had taught him, a protective incantation passed down through generations. With no other options, he began to recite it, his voice shaking at first, but growing stronger with each word. The robot froze, its eyes widened in shock as it struggled to move, its once smooth skin flickering, the transformation faltering. No! The robot screamed, his voice distorting as the spell took effect. I am you! I am the better you! But Tunji continued, the incantation flowing through him with a power he had never known. The robot's body began to convulse, the shimmer of his human form fading. Within seconds, the sleek metallic skeleton underneath was revealed, and it crumbled to the ground, lifeless. Panting, Tunji collapsed on the floor, staring at the now motionless pile of metal that had once threatened to take over his life. His hands trembled, the reality of what had just happened sinking in. This was no ordinary robot. It had been a creation of both technology and ancient magic, a dangerous blend that had almost destroyed him. In the silence that followed, Tunji knew one thing for certain: he would never trust a machine with his life again. He had faced his own shadow and was lucky to have survived. But as he looked at the robot's arms, a question gnawed at him. How many others had fallen victim to this hidden force? He would never know. But one thing was clear: magic, even in the age of technology, was far from dead. And some people will not hesitate to exploit the power to their advantage.